Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is another of my stories. It's raining again, so here we go, an inside video. So if you've been following the My Story episodes, I've been telling you about the television series that I was involved with. It was my idea, made a pilot in 1994. In 1996 and 1997, the two series that went on children's ITV were broadcast, and we made them of the same years. The first series had 6 episodes and the second series had 10. And I was telling you about the first day of filming on the first series with director Martin. And we'd got to that point on the first day where Martin had been filming in a very unusual way. Traditionally, when you're filming with a one-camera shoot, you film a master shot. You might light for one side of the room, and then if you're filming on the other side, you light slightly differently. And you film generally out of sequence because you film according to the environment and the lights, because it's easier to do it that way, and then in the edit you put it back together again. But Martin had chosen to try and film this all in sequence, which meant moving the lights all about, and the dolly and track, which confused the crew and had horrified me because everything was taking far too long. And it seemed that he had never done this sort of stuff before. And if you remember, at the end of the last episode, I mentioned that I then went back to the executive producer and said, look, I know this is only day one, but I have no faith in our director. And I left you hanging on that point. Well, I had this meeting with them, and with the director and the executive producer rather, and she basically said, well, it's tough. This guy is a good director. He may be a studio director, but he'll get the hang of it. He's perfectly able to do it. We've used him before. You can't direct it. You have to let him take charge. It's like it or lump it. And so I had to lump it, obviously. But as we progressed, and I'll put my cards here on the table, as we progressed, I mean, I liked Martin. He was a lovely chap. And actually, we found that we were both able to compromise, that although this was my baby, it was my pilot that had sold the series, and Martin had said to me, he said, look, I know that's the situation, but you've got to let go and let us do it the way we do it. And I said, yes, but of course it's my career, it's my whole, as a producer, as a children's television career going forward, this is basically an example of my work. And if this is rubbished, I may never work in children's television ever again. And he said, well, it won't be. It won't be. So as we carried on, we had a lot of fun making the programme. I don't want you to think that it was just me scowling and grumpy, but I was always thinking that television people should be it's the cream, isn't it? It's the cream of your career. I mean, unless they were going to make a Snug and Cozy feature film, which had gone through my mind, this was the cream, and it should be really good. I was thinking of the audience. I wanted to get as many laughs as is possible. And of course, I was learning really how television worked, how cutthroat it was, how time constrained it was, and how they would get away with, what they could get away with, and not necessarily work to actually make something really good. However, Martin and I did gel in the end, and by the end of the programme series, he was letting me pseudo-direct some of the scenes in terms of camera work and in terms of some of the action. And we realised then that actually we had become friends. We both compromised, and we would make a great team for series 2. The first 6 programmes, it wouldn't really have mattered. They were, if you like, as far as a television goes, almost a pilot series. And if people liked it, it would be the next series that would matter, and series after that. And so it didn't overly matter as long as we got the idea and kids liked it, and that was great. So we thought, okay, I can live with this. Nigel, who's with me, he was pleased. We can live with this. We'll have Martin on the next series, and actually the next one will be really good. Curiously, I should say it was. There was a lot of things that weren't going my way, and things that I was worried about, because I was hypersensitive to the fact that this was a new thing and it was my baby, etc. We got to the end of the first series, and the last program we filmed was in a swimming pool. And then we would normally sort of you think of end of show parties and big thank yous and all of that. Well, we didn't have any of that, because the ITV network had a promotion evening where they were promoting to the press, to other media companies, their new range of programmes which would be hitting the autumn for the children's television series. And so they had this evening where there was a buffet and wine and talks about what was coming up as a sort of media promotion. And they wanted Snug and Cozy to make an appearance. Now, I said to the people, I said, look, if we go there and dress up as Snug and Cozy, we will be in character. We're not going to turn up and just stand and say, oh, hello, I'm Richard Vobes, I play Snug. This is Nigel Cooper, he plays Cozy. We're not going to be in costume, but be actors. We're either in costume as ourselves, or we go down as actors and talk about the show and maybe show pictures and stuff, or a sequence from it, or anything like that. But once in character, we're going to be in character. So we got to the end of the filming in Glasgow in the swimming pool. We didn't have time to do any goodbyes or anything like that. We had to get out of our costumes, get rid of the makeup, get into a taxi, get to the airport, fly down to Heathrow, get in another taxi, go straight to the ITV network centre, and then get back into our costumes, straight into makeup, so that this event that was going on at, I think, 6:30 or something, we could appear at it. So as I'd warned them, we will play it as Snug and Cozy, two aliens who are slapstick, and we'll make this sort of up. So we did prat about a lot, and I think a lot of people got a bit anarched at us, because we were anarchic characters going, oh, Cozy, oh, look at us, and we were poking people, looking at their clothes and nicking their, if they had a plate with some vol-au-vents or whatever it was, we would come up, oh, yes, thank you, and we caused a few wry smiles and bits and bobs, but we were a bit of a whirlwind in the thing. And then once that was over, we took our makeup off and our costumes, and we got on a train and we went home, and it was a bit of an anticlimax, really. Anyway, the series went out, and we got 34% on average for the viewing figures for our programme. Bear in mind, there was 4 channels back then: BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV, which we were on, and Channel 4. And there was children's programmes on BBC 1 and children's programmes on ITV. We got the bigger share of all of them, and everybody was very happy. And they said, oh, great, Snug and Cozy, yeah, that is great. So despite my reservations about the production and everything, it had turned out very well. I wasn't involved in the editing, which was a shame, because I'd like to have been involved in that. And I wasn't really involved much in the audio tracking, although we did have to go up once, or I think we went up once to lay down some extra audio that they needed, and we saw some of the results. They were sending me the VHSs of the offline edit to have a look at and approve, really. There was little that we could say we couldn't have or didn't disapprove, but we were kept in the loop. And, at the time, it was a television programme. We were fairly happy. It wasn't brilliant, but, the next series would be great. So I started to write the next series. We hadn't got the commission, but I'd already written loads of scripts. Then it came through that, yes, we would have 10 programmes, and can we deliver the scripts? And I delivered the scripts, and they were approved. And I went up, this was now in 1997, I went up to see everybody there, and they said, oh, we can't use Martin as the director, he's busy in the allotted time that we had to make the series. But we have a different director. But don't worry, Richard. He is an award-winning director. He is a BAFTA-winning director. Everyone was very excited to have this chap, and they knew that Martin and I had had our issues, although they didn't really realise, I don't think, that Martin and I had now gelled and we would have been good. So they said, no, we've got this chap called Haldane, Hal for short. Hal is the new director. He's a BAFTA award-winning director, and everyone was really excited. So I just innocently said, well, oh, that sounds great, fantastic, really, really keen. What's he done? And they said, well, he's done Taggart, which was a Scottish television programme. I said, oh yeah. He's done EastEnders. He's done Brookside. I think he'd done The Bill, and he had done Coronation Street, I think. And I was thinking, wait, these are police dramas and soap operas. Has he done any children's? And he hadn't done any children's, and at least nobody had found him doing any. He'd done these much more well-paid programmes. And I said, has he done any slapstick? And they started to sort of get a bit... They thought I was going to go off on one, I imagine. But I was then worried. I thought, hang on a minute, why are we not... I don't... the fact that it's BAFTA is great, but if his BAFTA is in police drama and soaps, it's not slapstick. We want somebody who understands slapstick. Now, I'd been brought up on Laurel and Hardy, and Snug and Cozy was very much Laurel and Hardy in spacesuits, and slapstick works in a very particular way. You've got to set up the joke, and you have a punchline, and you move on in the story. It isn't the same as just dialogue. Anyway, I met the director, and he said, "Oh, Richard, no, don't worry about it. I can do comedy." And he showed me a clip from a Taggart episode, the police drama, where there was a guy on a bicycle, and somebody bumps into him, and he falls into a lake. And it was more of an accident in a drama, not a comedy. He said, he said, I can do slapstick. I can do it. It'd fall in. And he said, I had to sort of laugh and go, oh yeah, that's, yeah. Anyway, we delivered the scripts, as I say. We went up to rehearse everything, and it seemed okay. We did the rehearsal, signed the contract. Again, it was the same contract as before. Everything that we'd been promised right from the beginning was not part of it, particularly the production budget. We wouldn't get that 50%, which turned out, actually, that there was, I think, £100,000 saved from the production budget. £100,000 that if the original agreement had gone ahead, we would have got £50,000 to put into the company to put together a pilot for another programme or to do something. But we never got that. The production budget went all to Scottish Television. They made that profit. But anyway, we were past that. We were just keen to get on. I mean, we were just still only employed as actors, and I employed as a writer, so I got a bit more for writing the episode. We rehearsed it all. And it seemed that Hal, the director who sat there watching, let me rehearse in a rehearsal room with basic props, everything that we needed to do, and set up the gags and all of that. And we thought it was going to be great, actually. So, well, I don't know what we're worried about. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be easy. So that was great. There were a number of things that started to go a bit awry. One was a number of things in the script was causing problems. One of the things was health and safety and being able to do some of the stunts, really. Now, I was aware that there was the Chuckle Brothers on the television, and the Chuckle Brothers were very good, very seasoned performers, but they were old, and when you saw them do anything, for example, fall over, and Snug and Cozy would fall over quite a lot, we would always do it in vision because the kids wanted to see them fall over. But the Chuckle Brothers would fall over out of vision. They'd fall out of shot. So they'd be there 1 minute and go, whatever they were doing, to me, to you, to me, to you. And then they would suddenly go, oh, and they would fall out of shot and you would cut to them just sort of the end of the landing, but you wouldn't see the overall shot. And I understood that they were quite old, but we were young. We were in our 30s, and we could fall over. We wanted to do the stunts. We wanted to put back into television the sort of feature film element of it. And so one of the things was that we couldn't film in the original house that was supposed to be Emily's house. Emily finds these aliens and hides them in the garden shed. That's of the house. Well, the people who own the house, for whatever reason, probably because we, were a bit of a liability, didn't want us back, or they were moving, but there was a reason why we couldn't film it. And they told me in advance, and I'd said, that's not a problem. I'll write the script that Emily and her family are moving home. And so the first episode is a new home. Emily's moving in, there's a removal van, and there's a new shed for us, snug and cosy, to live in. And we are hiding in the removal van, and we hide in the double bed under the covers so that the removal men who are bringing stuff in don't notice us. Sounded plausible. And then at one point the bed rolls out of the lorry down the ramp that connects the lorry to the road and heads off down the hill with us on it, and it's hurtling down the hill. And in the original idea I wanted it to go into a pond and sink, but that was a bit problematic. So the scenic director, Colin Lowry, lovely chap, really like Colin, he said, why don't you make it go into a car wash? I said, that's brilliant, I love that even more. So we took that suggestion that the bed with us on it would hurtle down this hill and end up in a car wash, which would switch on and cover us in foam. Brilliant, kids would love it, lovely stunt. So then it came, we can't really go into a car wash because that would be too dangerous, and we can't really have the bed going down on its own, even though that was sort of in the script and had been approved. So there was a day of when I had to go up on my own and have a look at the locations to make sure that I approved. And it was nice of them to let me to do this because I was associate producer, unpaid. But I would say, oh yeah, that's fine, that looks great. And they would take me to the locations. I could say, yeah, no, that looks okay, and that looks great, and we do it. So they took me to the car wash and they said, look, we've worked out how we can do this car wash where it's not dangerous and it'll work. We'll have the bed roll down and stop just in front of the car wash, but we'll put the camera far enough away that it looks like you're in the car wash. And I said, but you've got to be in the car wash. It's got to come in, you can't cheat the audience. It's got to go into the car wash, and the big buffers come in and come down, and they're spinning and all of this. You've got to do that, and it's too dangerous. So we were standing outside this car wash, and this was a recce, so we were in ordinary clothes. There was the director, there was Colin, the scenic director, and a PA, as well as Hal. And we were looking at these places, and there was the man whose garage the car wash was part of. And I said, is there any chance you could show us the car wash running? He said, yeah. He said, I'll turn it on. So he turned it on, and it was all running and everything like this, and we were standing a bit back from it. And they said, yeah, put the car there, it'll be fine. And I said, no, it's got to go in. And I walked into the car wash as it was spinning with these big buffers going up and down and in and out. And I got soaked. I didn't care. And these things went round. I put my hands into them and I said, it's not dangerous. We're going to take the bed into the car wash and we're going to get covered in foam. I said, you cannot cheat the audience. The sequence with the bed coming down the hill, said, well, it's a bit problematic really. We can sort of shoot it from the back of a car coming down. And I said, yeah, but we've got to see a wide shot, where the bed goes through the shot like this with Snug and Cosy on it. I mean, you've just got to show that, because otherwise it's like the camera is too close all the time. We've got to have that lovely wide shot. And they said, well, we can't, but it'll just end up, because the hill they wanted to film it on was quite steep. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, we'll put a whole load of sandbags down and mattresses. And for the shot where we go through, we're doing all this, oh, Cosy, oh. And then as soon as we get to the point where we know we're out of shot, we can have straps and things on the bed that we grab and brace ourselves, and we're prepared to do this, and we'll thud into the sand thing. And I said, it's fine. We will take the risk. well, they didn't want to do this sand thing, but we did manage to kind of cobble something. But by golly, I had to push. And there were other instances like that all the way through that were somewhat problematic. When we came to the actual filming, of course, we had rehearsed, as I said, everything had been approved. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, no, great. Yeah, great. And we thought Howl was going to be fantastic. And when it came to it, the setups and the punchline and the way that slapstick works and the time to work these on location to make it work with the camera shots that you needed, thrown out the window. There were so many times, and I don't have time in this to tell you them all, unfortunately, but there were so many times when I said, but no, we need to film this and then this, otherwise the gag won't work. And How's, no, it's fine, it's funny, it's fine. And everything was dismissed, and he filmed things in this soap opera way, which for some of it was okay, but for a lot of it just wasn't. And the editing was most peculiar. And in some ways, I mean, both series had their merits, and some bits were good, and some bits for me, as I look back, and I just think, if only I had been given the chance to direct it. And I know people might say, well, it's very arrogant of you. And what I would do is I'm going to link in this video to something called The Boneheads. Now, some people have seen this and some people haven't. That was a program, a pilot, and I'll talk about that in more detail later on. But that is a pilot that I made with another production company where I was the director. And I directed that and edited it. And that was about 3 or 4 years later. And you'll see that my ability would have been better, I think, than what ended up. But we're running out of time on this one. There'll probably be one more about Snug and Cozy, and I'll continue with some of the things, but and then carry on with the rest of my story as is. But yeah, television, it was an interesting experience, and you'll see how I tried to make more pilots, and I knew that if I was going to be involved in television, it was under my rules and my ways, because I just found that nobody else was really that passionate about what I was trying to do. Excuse me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one of my story, but meanwhile I'll no doubt be out and about exploring the wonderful heritage, landscape and nature. Till next time, bye bye.